This week, BP Pulse opened a 24-stall gigahub in Salt Lake City. Mercedes-Benz opened their largest station to date. And Bojangles cuts the ribbon on their first of many charging stations located at their beloved, unapologetically Southern fast food chain restaurants. Let's get into it. I'm here at my local IONNA station on a rainy day, which kind of showcases one of their primary features, which are the canopies. I am being sheltered by the canopy in a dry area as the rain is coming down lightly around me. They definitely won the award for most stories this week, so it works well that it's raining. I needed a place to record with a canopy, and they happen to be the CPO with the most stories this week. That all kind of aligned. And I've walked around the station before, so I'm not going to belabor the point again this time, but it's a very beautiful station. We got 16 stalls, NACS, CCS. We got holiday pricing of 20 cents per kilowatt hour going on the screen. You can probably see it over there. And 2 rows of chargers, both with canopies, garbage cans, squeegees, picnic table, landscaping. Very beautiful station. Starting off, viewer Mike Mann, who lives in Southern California, took a road trip, and in doing so, he stopped at the Lost Hills Tesla Supercharger station, sent me these pictures, and although this station has been open for a while, it's such a large station, the construction was proceeding even after it opened, and the pictures that he sent me are now of it looking almost complete. Let's go ahead and take a look at those pictures. Beautiful images of the largest charging station in North America. I think there's some in China that are a couple of hundred stalls, but in North America, that's the largest charging station. And it just truly amazes me every time I see Tesla operating in their swim lane at a caliber that is so far above everyone else. And the Lost Hills is definitely a demonstration of that. That is just an absolutely amazing demonstration of determination and execution. It's just absolutely beautiful, Lost Hills stations. Okay, starting off, Chris Graham, who works in the EV charging industry, posted into LinkedIn about the Jackson Food Store electric vehicle charging station build. And if you might remember, a couple episodes back, I mentioned how there was a Kempower station in Idaho that came into a Jackson Foods, and apparently it wasn't a one and done. They're doing multiple others. Let me just read this. More milestones made in Idaho. Our second and third Jackson partnership sites in Nampa, 612 Northside, Nampa, Idaho, and Fruitland, 2001 Highway 30, Fruitland, Idaho, have gone live. The amount of the coordinated effort to bring these complex sites to life take a huge amount of strategic planning, execution, oversight, and manpower. It truly wouldn't be possible with all these coming together seamlessly. Huge thanks to everyone who rolled up their sleeves, spent time away from their families, improvised, adapted, and overcame to create, design, construct, and commission these sites. Apparently, it's a trend. So Jackson Food Stores in Idaho and that section of the country of the Upper Rockies, is continuing to build out Kempower hardware in use, and we're going to see additional discussions about Kempower getting used elsewhere here in a second. So nice to see those built, and also canopies. You know, I'm under a canopy, and I can't tell you how nice it is in order to post up to a charging stall, pop out of your car, and approach the charger in bad weather while being sheltered from a canopy. That is something that gas car owners are afforded just because of the nature of the regs. We don't really have the same regulations, but boy, what a nice creature comfort to have, as you can see here. It says more one-point sites coming online in Washington, Idaho, and California. So apparently this is going to continue on. Next, industry insider Lang Reynolds, who has become the executive vice president of operations for Francis Energy, posted into LinkedIn as well. It's been a busy few months for the team here at Francis Energy. In addition to opening new NEVI sites in Maryland, Minnesota, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, this week we opened another 2 Kentucky NEVI sites to become the largest operator in the Kentucky NEVI program. A testament to the team across all functions here. And those 2 sites, just so you know, they popped into the Alternative Fuels Data Center database. I've reported on them in my personal channel. They are Central City, Kentucky, at a Casey's. Casey's is a excuse me, fast food chain, and a Subway in Slayersville, Kentucky. And very nice looking stations, nice execution, as Lang mentions. They also opened a Tesla Supercharger for Business refresh in the state of Oklahoma in the town of Stillwater, a 4-stall station at a library. I mentioned last week about a ribbon cutting upcoming from new CPO EVIO in the Upper East Coast, and that ribbon cutting occurred. And to celebration, there was postings in LinkedIn about the event. A great day for EVO charging at our ribbon cutting event in the Nantucket Town Center. This site not only expands access to the most reliable fast charging infrastructure, it also helps support the surrounding businesses and tenants by bringing additional traffic and customers to the area. Special thanks to Tesla for providing vehicles for test drives, and to both the town of Clarkstown and Orange and Rockland Utilities for being a great partner throughout the process. So EVIO has now kicked the pig, and they got their first Tesla Supercharger for Business station opened in the Upper East Coast. Next, Clean Technica's Jake Richardson reported about Blink and Kempower's partnership expanding. We saw a couple of stations, but Jake was able to ferret out additional information going on amongst those 2. And let me just read a couple of things from his article. The EV charger companies Kempower and Blink Charging are collaborating to install 92 new EV charging ports at 14 stations. 2 sites are already operating, and a dozen more will be built in the East Coast states in 2026. That's this year, obviously. The 2 sites already opening are Vasa Fitness in Colorado and Idaho Falls in Idaho. Each new charging station is or will be located near a convenience store where there are also high traffic levels, and provide Kempower power units and satellite fast chargers. Kempower technology, this is a quote from Jed Roth, the VP of Markets from Kempower. Kempower technology is designed to deliver reliable, scalable, user-friendly fast charging, and the new sites with Blink showcase how high-performance infrastructure can seamlessly support drivers' everyday routines. There's a lot of existing work ahead with Blink as we work together to make sustainable transportation more accessible for everyday drivers. In the U.S., public EV charging infrastructure continues to expand despite certain politicians who oppose. Well, we'll skip that. Federal funding has been flowing to some states to expand public fast charging infrastructure, so on and so forth. So Jake Richardson did a good job of ferreting out this expansion of the partnership between Blink and Kempower, and we suspected that to be the case, but we now have confirmation. Next, I mentioned how I'm thoroughly impressed with Red E's continued sustained momentum, and this week is no different. They opened 6 stations, including a 10-stall station in Binghamton, New York. That one might be level 2. We're a little bit unclear about whether or not that's 10 stalls of DC fast charger or 10 stalls of level 2. It's a little bit unclear about that. But multiple 4-stall stations, similarly in the state of Illinois, that was the case last week. This week it's Bolingbrook, Champaign, and Villa Park, Illinois. And then there's a Macomb, Michigan, and a Richmond, Virginia, all of which getting new Red E charging hardware. Next, if you have the BP Pulse app on your mobile phone, BP Pulse announced that they have a app refresh. And I'm like, oh, that's very nice. And when I went to go check to see some of the features that they were calling out on their new app refresh, I realized that what this app refresh is requiring is a full account creation process. So if you have the BP Pulse app, and unless I'm unique, which I don't think so, you'll have to go in and reset your account, create an account, put your payment in, and make sure that they're using a really secure method for credit card authentication called 3DS. And put your payment process in, payment method in, and set yourself all back up again. So if you're going to be using the BP Pulse app, you probably want to do so before you head out, because it's kind of frustrating if you show up to a charger and you just want to get charging to all of a sudden have to be confronted with resetting up your whole account. And it's not like just changing your password. You have to set up a whole new account. But then they're talking about multiple different features in the new app design. And it was kind of clunky. It kind of looked like a EV Connect white label app, the previous version of the BP Pulse app. And this one looks to be bespoke, kind of built from the ground up, nicely designed app. So it looks like they're starting to calibrate some of their user interfaces with the app upgrade. Additionally, with BP Pulse, they opened 2 stations this past week, including one very large gigahub near the Salt Lake City airport. It's 24 stalls with Alpitronic hardware underneath canopies. And there's 2 canopies. There's one with a dual-sided canopy, which we've seen before, kind of the V-shaped canopy, which is similar to what you see at the LAX gigahub. And then they also have a canopy off to the side for additional stalls, for a total of 24 stalls at this location. In addition to that, they opened a 12-stall Alpitronic-supported station at a Travel Centers of America on Interstate 95 in Ashland, Virginia, very close to the IONNA station in Ashland, Virginia. And so that is open as well. Nice job, BP Pulse. I mean, these are really nice-looking stations, and they don't go small, they go big. Very nice looking. And speaking of big stations, Mercedes-Benz high-powered charging this week opened their largest station to date, which is 20 stalls in the Orlando area, right near the Orlando International Airport, at a new construction site called Lake Nona. And there is a shopping center there that has all new facilities. None of them are really occupied from what I understand. There is a Target that is operational, but it's a little bit off to the side. But 20 stalls, and it's combo NACS and CCS. So no matter what car you have, you don't have to worry about an adapter at a Mercedes-Benz charging station, this one included. And so with the summer travel season upon us and airlines costing what they are, a good alternative is to drive into the Orlando area. I know I'm going to be doing that here in about a month, headed into the Orlando area in my electric car, and probably going to the station. It looks really, really nice. So that's something to look forward to if you're headed out this summer and near the Orlando International Airport. Next, Tesla had a really good week, and I'm going to go over some of these stations. I break Tesla out into 2 sections, Tesla and then Tesla Supercharger for Business, because that, to me, makes sense, and I think it's helpful to see Tesla Supercharger for Business's effort separated from the Tesla Supercharger native stations. And the Tesla Supercharger native stations opened a really large crowd pleaser 64 stall in Jean, Nevada at a place called Terrible's Roadhouse. Let me say that again, 64 stalls. And that's on that corridor between Los Angeles and Las Vegas that is notorious for being congested with electric vehicle charging stations getting overwhelmed. But Tesla is definitely helping alleviate some of that congestion. And I think what they're doing with these large builds on that corridor is looking at future-proofing it, because California is definitely on an upswing of EV adoption. And all those people do go to Vegas with some regularity, at least out of the Los Angeles vicinity. And this station is really beautiful. And as we saw at the beginning, the Lost Hills location is the biggest in North America, so Tesla continues to impress and outpace everyone else with their charging station installs. Additionally, last week I mentioned how they had a partnership with Starbucks that was proceeding, and we have an additional station going into a Starbucks in Aurora, Colorado, 16 stalls. And I'm kind of curious about how that fits into a Starbucks parking lot. It must be an adjacent parking lot or something, because I've never seen a Starbucks parking lot that could accommodate 16 stalls of charging, but it must be something able to be accommodating adjacent is what I'm guessing. But they also have a Target, and Target is the other big box store, major competitor to Walmart, who Tesla has been doing a lot of builds with. And they have another one this week in Corpus Christi, Texas. And there was people mentioning into my personal channel that the Corpus Christi is a very important station because that's a hard place to find charging. And so 16 stalls at the Target is definitely welcome down there. And then switching to Tesla Supercharger for Business, there were 2 stations. There is Francis Energy, which I mentioned before, about the Stillwater, Oklahoma station. And then there was also something labeled as Citgo, the gas station operator, as the partner in the Tesla Super, because the way they reference it in the Alternative Fuels Data Center database, they have a parentheses and then the name of the company that they're partnering with. So there's kind of some discussion going on here. John Baker Charge, who tracks this Tesla Supercharger network very closely, was commenting that if this is a one-off, it's not that big of a deal. But if the company, Citgo, is looking at Tesla Supercharger for Business for a wider deployment, this could be a very large win for the Tesla Supercharger for Business team. It's in Gorham, New Hampshire, 4 stalls. So we'll definitely watch that with interest. Electrify America had a good week as well, opening 3 stations, a 4-stall, and this is through a Electrify America commercial partnership, similar to the Tesla Supercharger for Business. Electrify America has something called Electrify America Commercial. In Muncie, Pennsylvania, there is a Sheetz, and it is entered into the database as Sheetz Muncie, powered by Electrify America. And I understand this to be a NEVI station. It is 4 stalls, but we're unsure if it's the Sheetz Corporation operating this, but I am assuming so. And if so, they might be looking at a native EV charging network similar to what Wawa is doing. Wawa is seen making some of their own stations as well. So things are getting kind of crazy out here. We have Sheetz doing builds with partners, and it looks like we might have Sheetz doing builds on their own as well. So kind of interesting. 2 additional stations. We have the Highland Avenue Shopping Center in Salem, Massachusetts, 6 stalls, and the Marshfield Plaza in Chicago, 10 stalls. All open this past week. There was a charging station funded by NEVI, opened in Maui, right near the Kapalua Airport, I believe is how it's pronounced. I might have pronounced that wrong. If so, I apologize. And they apparently had a ceremony because there was a lot of pictures on the internet and in PlugShare about the ribbon cutting ceremony of this station. It's listed as 8 stalls with EV Connect as the back-end OCPP provider. And as I said, NEVI funded. So a little bit of additional EV charging in the state of Hawaii. And a couple of people had mentioned about Hawaii being a little slow to adopt. Well, I did a review about numbers of chargers per EVs in the different states. I found a report and I did a quick video on that. And Hawaii is kind of lagging. But one thing we have to remember about Hawaii, you can't like drive around these islands for like 900 miles. You know, they're small islands. So it's not like DC fast charging for road tripping is really needed. Really what these DC fast chargers are for and at the airport is returning your rental car if it's an electric, or multi-tenant residents who don't have charging at home need to come and charge. So that's really what these DC fast chargers are for. So a little bit of a different use case for electric vehicle DC fast chargers in the state of Hawaii because of the island lifestyle, which we all admire. Okay, now going on to IONNA. Memorial Day which is when I'm recording this, not on Memorial Day, but Memorial Day weekend, they're having a 20 cent per kilowatt hour special. And definitely when they announced it, there was a lot of excitement about that. 20 cents per kilowatt hour is about as low as you could go. And very exciting. I'm guessing if people are traveling on Memorial Day and they heard about this, they are definitely going to be pulling into an IONNA station. That is really exciting to see. Additionally, this week, they announced that BMW drivers need do nothing, but when you pull your BMW EV into an IONNA station and use plug and charge or the BMW app, you'll have accounting for a 20% discount. Now, we saw General Motors customers being extended a 10% discount, but now BMW drivers are similarly getting a discount, but theirs is 20%. Now, one thing about the fine print about the BMW 20% discount, there is an end date after Labor Day. They'll be expiring it. And General Motors, I think, is 10% in perpetuity. I'm not sure. But each one of the different OEMs that help support the IONNA initiative apparently are experimenting with discounts for their owners. And right now, BMW announced 20% discount for all BMW EV owners at IONNA stations. Also with IONNA, they announced into social the opening of their San Francisco rechargery. And let me just read this. IONNA is going live in San Francisco, and we want to celebrate with you. On Sunday, June 7th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., IONNA and PG&E representatives will be on site at the San Francisco Rechargery Relay on Folsom Street. And you have to be aware there's multiple rechargeries in San Francisco, but this is the one on Folsom Street. Testing new features, getting to know your local EV drivers, and as always, giving away discounted electrons. And apparently there's limited slots, so they have a sign-up sheet for people to sign up for that event. Again, it's June 7th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Folsom Street San Francisco Rechargery. Additionally, with IONNA, as I said, they really were active this week and have the most stories. I mentioned last week about billboards going into Indiana and Florida, mostly in the state of Florida. Well, they announced a new billboard. This one is in Ohio. And let me just read it. Y'all seem to enjoy the first billboards. How about some more? This time celebrating our partnership with Sheetz and a nationwide Memorial Day discount. You can find this beauty on exit 49 off Interstate 70 in Obetz, Ohio. So apparently they're very proud of their discounted electrons, and they decided to put up a billboard in Ohio. Love to see it. IONNA also opened 2 new rechargeries this past week. One in Everett, Washington, which is 12 stalls, and another one in Tallahassee, Florida. Tallahassee, Florida is on Interstate 10, but the state of Florida Panhandle, if anyone has taken that I-10 route out of Jacksonville, becomes incredibly desolate. And there is not much out there as far as charging goes. And even as you pass through Tallahassee, there's not much charging. So this new 10-stall station in Tallahassee is really going to alleviate some of the charging desert out there in the Panhandle of Florida. Apparently on Summit Lake Drive, Tallahassee, Florida, 10 stalls. Opened this past week. Lastly, I mentioned it was probably about 6 months ago about a press release that Bojangles, a local company here in Charlotte, North Carolina, this is where their corporate offices are, was going to be putting in DC fast chargers at their restaurants. And I actually reached out to them on LinkedIn to see if we could get a interview, and they said, well, in a little bit, is basically the way the response came back. They said they're working on it, and they weren't quite ready to have an on-camera interview. But this past week, we got announcement that the first station is now open. And we have multiple reports of this station getting ribbon cuttings from multiple different EV-centric news outlets. And according to what I'm hearing from Bojangles, they're intending to basically build electric vehicle charging into most, if not all, of their locations. And people who are not familiar with Bojangles in the Southeast, They're very popular. And I think it's somewhere around 800 locations that they have. If I'm sorry, I don't have, I was going to print it out and bring it with me. I apologize, I neglected to do so. But this is no small effort. And what this is trying to carve out, if I understand correctly, the whole internal turf war between C-store operators providing food service to customers who are coming to refuel their cars, and quick service restaurants losing market share to people who are eating at C-stores. Well, the quick service restaurants can say, well, we can refuel your car too, and then you don't have to go to the C-store. So it seems like this whole turf war between quick service restaurants and C-stores for that food business and now the refueling business, because a quick service restaurant does not need to put in gas tanks in the ground in order to provide refueling services to electric vehicles. They just need electrical hookup. And now they're able to compete in that same space with the C-store. So the lines between C-store and quick service restaurant are starting to get blurred. And I believe that's what we're looking at here, is a early leader in the quick service restaurant space starting to roll out electric vehicle charging as a brand distinction for their locations to coax people away from that C-store refueling and food service offering to instead come to a quick service restaurant, because the dwell time at a quick service restaurant matches a DC fast charging session very well. Those two pair very well. And so it looks as though Bojangles agrees, and they have followed through on their previous announcement to install electric vehicle chargers, with the first one now having its ribbon cut in Savannah, Georgia. Thanks for watching.